Welcome to the Knighthood Podcast, a comprehensive weekly analysis of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by Michael and James. So fire up and let's go. Hey James, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Obviously, a very frustrating loss on the weekend. I'm sure we'll get into that and dissect it. But other than that, doing well. Been pretty busy.
I heard you've been doing some moving. You got flooded and you've been moving some furniture and stuff.
Mate,
doesn't
it
sound
never
like
ends.
much fun.
Yeah. Furniture
Queensland
moving,
curse.
copping some sun. A bit red and burnt today. But
Yeah,
the show's got to continue on, and I'm ready to roll tonight and talk about the game on the weekend.
that's cool. I don't feel like I've been in the sun for a long time. I'm here in the city in Sydney and working indoors a lot of the time these days. And I wish I had a bit of sun on the face, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the weather up here has been absolutely beautiful for the most part. For the last week and a half. But there was a bit of rain around today. But obviously cop some sun as well. So
What's that old slogan they used to use? Was that for Queensland? Beautiful one day, perfect the next, or something? Remember that they used to run the ads?
Yeah, I remember that back in the day.
That was back in the day.
Yeah, so that has been beautiful weather, like some of the best I've seen for a long time. So a bit grey today, but bit of rain, but beautiful weather. Speaking
of grey, mate, we're going to crack into the podcast of tonight, our Newcastle Knights round 24 review and round 25 preview, brought to you by MB Optimal Oral Care. So we will crack through. We'll do a review, then we'll run through the Knighted Player of the Year 3-2-1 update. We will run through the NRL ladder. No adjusted ladder this week, just a normal ladder with our ladder predictor in there as well, so we can review where we stand on that. We will run through a season review for 2024 for the Knights, and then we'll also have a look at the run home for the Knights over the final 3 rounds of this 2024 NRL season. Then what we'll do is we'll crack into our analysis for round 25, run over our betting update for round 24, and then also have a look at our tips for round 25. So, James, I'm a bit pissed off. I'll be straight up. That was a match we shouldn't have lost on Sunday. Extremely disappointing. I think we were the better side, and it's just extremely frustrating. And then I've got to put this podcast together. So around 4:00 today, I saw the teams list and I saw Jack Cogger's name in the 6 jersey. And to be honest, I cracked it. I just thought, all this time and effort we're putting into, creating some content here for Knights fans and for us as well to, have a good sort of process so we can make good decisions and have a good assessment and be accurate in terms of our takes and also in regards to betting and betting performance, which I feel like we have done over the course of the year, and I feel like we've generally had the jump by a week or two on most other commentators, including the mainstream media. I feel like we're a bit ahead of the game in terms of the way that we see things in advance, just because of the process that we go through, and it kind of frustrates me a lot when I hear a lot of commentary in the mainstream media and on other podcasts. They're just a little bit off the pace and not necessarily 100% accurate. So, look, I guess that's one of the key things that we're trying to do. But I did crack it today. I didn't want to sit through an hour and a half of putting this show together. I just feel like we're going to do a bit more of a shorter format. So it's still going to be the same format, but I just didn't go to the same effort I normally do, to be frank. And I think there's some talking points that we can go over when the content's going to be good. But yeah, just I guess I'm venting. I'm just extremely frustrating. It's been a real up and down season. It's just it's been maybe that was a final nail in the coffin for me to see O'Brien pick Cogger in the 6 jersey this week. It's just what do you think of that? What's your initial reaction to that?
Oh, when I saw it, I was just like, oh no, wasn't happy about it. And then I see he's brought Will Price in at 14. So, I mean, why wouldn't you just put Will Price in there? I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
yeah,
Cog going to offer much. I can't see him offering a whole lot. He's offered nothing all year. What makes you think he's going to bust out the big guns 3 games, to go in the season?
I don't know, man. I feel like we should have got that game against the Sharks, and now just another frustrating team selection in there in the half. So look, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
In the second part of the show, we'll go over the teams list and have a look at both sides. But that was enough for me. Enough to flip me over the edge.
Oh, it's like this season. It's just been an absolute roller coaster, of emotions and mentally draining because of how frustrating it's been. It's been, for me being a bit of a novice with the betting, it's been hard to gauge anything with this team because they're just so up and down, and plus all the coaching stuff. He's just making poor decisions. It's been a bloody hard season, I think.
I don't know why he doesn't. Why wouldn't he pick Hastings and Price, for example? They played in reserve grade last week. They probably got a better combination than what Crossland and Cogger are going to have. To be honest, like we're playing our second fiddle halves as opposed to our best 2 halves. What's up with that? Our season's on the line. We still can make the finals if we win the next 3 matches, and the Dragons only win 1 out of 3, which is quite possible. We will still qualify for the finals. So
yeah, I actually thought maybe Hastings was injured or something, so that's why he hadn't been picked. But obviously, that's not the case. And if he's available, he should be there.
I believe he's available.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% certain on that, but he did complete the match, and they won in reserve grade last week, and they scored, I think, 42 points in reserve grade, and Will Price had some great touches, and Hastings had a couple of decent ones as well. So, yeah,
well,
I don't know. I'm lost for words in regards to. I've just had enough. Adam O'Brien, you're a muppet. I told you last week on the podcast, everyone, that I wouldn't jump on and have a go at O'Brien. Try and support the team and everything through the rest of this season, and I can't do it. Sorry, mate. You're a muppet, and you should, you can't. You couldn't pick your nose, mate. Seriously, you can't. How many? What's this now? Probably the 9th halves combination we've had. I mean, in fairness, if it was Hastings and Price, it'd still be the 9th or so combination anyway. I think South are a big chance to beat us this week. I think they could easily drop their heads after that loss to the Sharks, and the team that he's got on paper here is, it's not not the best. I don't think that it could be.
No. I think if Hastings was available, obviously got to have him there and put Will Price at 6 maybe, because you couldn't have Hastings come into 6, and it's almost like he's making that decision just to keep, like he's got to have Phoenix in the starting side, but it's like you could move him back to the 14 or something maybe. I'm not sure what his mindset is. He's a muppet.
Yeah, look, I've just had enough. It's just, he's made too many mistakes to get my support. Even if they scramble into the finals, maybe I'll eat my hat. If they make the finals, I'll eat my hat, and I'll take it on the chin. But I don't like what I've seen so far from that teams list, and we're not going to go through the stats of this match tonight. I think there'll be enough talking points that we can cover, James. So, look, we lost to the Sharks. Let's do a quick review for everyone out there. So, we went down by a point to the Sharks in Golden Point. Extremely disappointing loss. It was 3 tries apiece, 2 from 3 conversions for both of the kickers, and we basically had the sin bin there for Crossland. We led at halftime, 12 points to 10, and we eventually lost by a point. So, mate, what are your Well, I think we should probably just run into your analysis straight away. Let's get straight into your analysis, James.
Yeah, no worries. First point, off the back of a few errors, the Knights' inability to stop the second phase play, the Sharks went out to an early 10-0 lead. The Knights were pretty, off the pace early. A lot of offloads going on from the Sharks, and they obviously got off to a pretty good start. Next point, the Knights worked their way back into the match from the 20-minute mark. I thought it was still rocks and diamonds, though, at times, with the Knights negating their good work with poor errors and discipline, but went into the break leading 12 points to 10. Next point, the Knights managed the 10-minute period after half-time very well, even scoring a try with 12 men when Phoenix was off the field. Things were looking positive, and I actually thought the Knights were looking quite comfortable, and their defense was in order for the most part. Next point, I feel the Knights lost this game during the 60 from the period from the 60th to the 70th minutes, where they continually made errors and just shot themselves in the foot. The extra defensive load really took its toll as the game went on, where they really struggled to get up, to any attacking position. Second last point, eventually the game went in the golden point, a disallowed field goal, or penalty, sorry, and a butchered try opportunity from Dane Gagai, which I don't know how he didn't nail that in this period, was disappointing to say the least. And he also bombed a game,
one before.
One in the first half, yeah. And, I don't want to give it to Dane. He's been one of our stronger players this year, but you've got to nail that stuff. You have to,
State of origin player.
Yeah, he didn't do it. Final point, the effort was there today, but for every good thing the Knights did, they backed it up with errors and ill discipline. A game they should have won.
Yeah, well summed up. Some key points here is that it's not the first time we've given away a lead. We led the Cowboys 20-10, if you can remember, and they came back and beat us in that golden point. So, I think this kind of reminds me. Well, it's virtually the same thing. I think the Cowboys scored the try to get them into golden point with 4 minutes to go, 76 minute. I had a look at it, and the Sharks scored with 5 minutes to go in this match. So basically, we haven't improved from the start of the season to now. That's a game that we should definitely have held on to. We completed 1 from 7 sets in that period, James. Not sure if it was exactly between 60 and 70 minutes. It might have been a little bit earlier. It was around that period. If you complete 1 from 7 sets in the NRL and just keep letting them, have opportunities to score. And, we defended pretty well, but let's face it, the Sharks, they didn't really have any halves out there to they didn't have experienced halves out there. Their first pick halves, they weren't there. So they looked pretty disconnected in attack for most of the match, except for that sort of first 15 minutes. But I think Talakai kept them in the match. They were really charging down the field in the second half, making good meters. And I never felt comfortable. I was in the first half, at around about the 15-minute, 20 mark, I remember thinking we're in this, that I'm seeing signs here that we can get back in it. And by halftime, we were in front in the lead. And, you couldn't go into halftime thinking, oh, geez, they did well. They've got on top and they can keep going on here, because Crossland got put in the bin. And that was a super nervous 10 minutes in the second half, but they managed it awesome. Probably the best they've managed any 10-minute period of any of this season. And they scored, and they managed that period, and then they got the penalty goal as well. So they scored 8 points in that 10-minute period. And after that, they just, you'd expect them. You'd expect them just to kind of march on with it, but they didn't. And then they started making errors, and then, the rest is history, isn't it? So, as you said there, mate, the last point, a game they should have won.
Yeah, and then it was where they were making the errors as well. They were making them like 40 meters out from their own line, and just constant defending their line and in that area. They were just, they just blew it, really. Another thing I thought about earlier in the... Sorry, you go, mate.
No, you go.
Like when we analyze how we've played against the top 4 teams so far this year, we've beat Melbourne. We lost to the Roosters by 2 points in a game we should have won. We lost to the Sharks in a game we should have won. We've lost to Penrith twice by 8 points. We've held our own against the best teams. Like we can show that we can, but that doesn't get you. It doesn't get you in the top 8, does it?
Well, that's why I think we should be in the top 8 and challenging for a top 4 position. But if Muppet O'Brien didn't, stuff up the team selections most weeks, and there was a bit of continuity in the side and cohesion, they would be in the top 8 right now. They would have won another 2 or 3 matches, and we wouldn't be, sitting here talking about Cogger being selected at 6. Or fuck it, even if he picked Cogger from round 1 and kept him there, maybe Cogger by now would be playing well. We'll never know. We'll never know, and we won't know because he keeps changing it.
And we picked it, didn't we? The revolving door of the halves.
You picked it. That was one of your earlier season predictions. If you didn't see that video, go and check it out. Watch our season preview because it's been pretty accurate in a lot of our takes. Not in terms of us making the 8 or making the 4 that we were sort of hoping would happen this year. Anyway, I'm going to ask you a question here. So if we had Hastings last week, do you think instead of Crossland had a shocker? I don't think you can expect Crossland to slot into the 7 and stay there consistently for more than a couple of games in just in terms of patching a hole. I don't think you can expect Phoenix to go in there and play a genuine 7 role. So if he's stuck with Hastings, do you think we'd be in a different position right now? Because I can guarantee you, if Hastings had that shot at field goal, I reckon he would have kicked it. He would have iced that.
And I just mean, like Hastings is obviously that's his job. He's a genuine halfback. He manages games, and that's what he's paid to do. Phoenix is just, he obviously got experience as being a half, but he's played 2 games at halfback this year, and he's probably likely not to ice those moments because he's just not. That's not his bread and butter at this stage of his career. He's a hooker. And so I reckon Hastings is probably...
Is he a hooker? I reckon he's a 14. I reckon he's a genuine 14. I think he's the best 14 we've got in the team. And I reckon Brayley he's a genuine 9. He should be always starting. And I mentioned this in our season preview. We need Brayley. He's our first pick hooker. He needs to aim up all year, and he has. He's been there for most of the year. Has he aimed up? Well, I think you gave him 3 points, didn't you, James?
I thought he was. 1. Yeah, and I've been watching him.
What did I say last week? I said, now that Brayley's getting some time on the field and consistency, they were expecting better things from him. And look, you just gave him your man of the match. So,
and look, I did struggle to pick a man of the match in this, but I saw a lot of stuff from him out of dummy half, and he was like working the markers, and there was a period in that first half where he, off the back of him and his dummy half work, we were making like 70 and 80 meters, or, a set. And he made, 55 tackles or something. I thought, he was really, really good. I thought it was one of his best performances, and he's improved. He's constantly improved as he's gone on. So,
but that's what happens when you leave someone in the same position and they have a good run with not getting injured, and they get a bit of timing. I feel for Phoenix. He's been put in that position. There's a lot of pressure in that 7 jersey, but I don't know. I wouldn't have dropped Hastings. O'Brien come out and said, they're playing faster, and I can see that they are moving a little bit faster, but I'm sure you could have told Hastings just to adjust his style slightly, or maybe he couldn't. Maybe he's not coachable. I don't know.
Well, maybe the
character.
And I reckon there's an underlying factor there that, why he wouldn't even go there is maybe O'Brien's just off him, with like what you said there. He's just we don't know
personality
clash. No.
Well, I think they get along from what I've seen. I mean, I watched a podcast of Hastings last week, a recent one, and he talked, positively about the club and what they've done for
Yeah.
him and how Brian's kind of taken him under his wing. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just been a real shit year. It's been extremely frustrating to watch and to commentate on. We've really enjoyed it, you and I. That's what do they call it?
Silver
The
lining.
the silver lining. I'm lost for words. I'm so pissed off. So look, that's your review, James. I thought that, yeah, if we had Hastings there, or instead of, okay, what about if he was put on the bench instead of Cogger? I reckon Hastings would have, stepped up and probably wanted to kick the field goal there. So anyway, we can go on about it all night and all the rest of the year long, and we'll be talking about this year because it's just been a year of missed opportunities. And look, we said it last week. We're going to be positive and support the boys, and that's what we'll keep doing. But fuck, I'm finding it really hard to support the boys with Cogger in the 6 jersey, and even like I said, even if they picked him earlier in the season and he wasn't in great form, and instead of flipping and flopping and being undecisive, just keep him there until he starts playing good. Similar to Brayley, because he's been a bit up and down. Like he hasn't had a real bad game, but he hasn't stood out either. But now he's starting to, because he's getting time and he's a handy player. So I don't doubt that Cogger would actually do a lot better if he was just picked and sticked. But
I just think it became an easy option for AOB to have the depth in the halves, and it's been used as a bit of a crutch. Too easy to flip and flop what he wants, Whereas
just imagine being a coach, like you're with a squad of 30 players, and you can't even pick who is the best players out of your squad to play in the team each week. You're a fucking Muppet, O'Brien. I hope you get sacked. The only thing that'll save you, mate, is if we make the finals, I'll eat my hat. But that's looking pretty unlikely at the moment. Right, that's my anger rant. Who got your 3-2-1s, James?
Yeah, like I said, I thought it was a hard one for me to pick. But yeah, I ultimately went for 3 points. Brayley, easily the best game I've seen him play this year. He was strong in defense, and I thought he was really crafty out of dummy half as well. I was watching him pretty closely, actually, and he was doing some really good stuff that may have got missed in that. But I really impressed with his performance.
Thought he was good too. Yeah.
Yeah, I went 2 points for Tyson Frizzell. He's just, I think you mentioned it last week, he's like the spiritual leader of that pack.
Yeah.
Or just in general, just such a professional player. Rarely has a bad game or
awesome player. Awesome player. Great clubman.
Yep.
Awesome.
Just a guy you'd want to play next to,
Yeah.
And 1 point for Fletcher Sharp. I thought he really got us out of some holes in that second half in particular.
He was outstanding with some of those darts, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like he got us into some good positions, and I just thought, he's just a footy player. He just goes off instinct, and I was really impressed with his performance. So yeah, that's my 3-2-1.
Yeah, well picked. I had Frizz there for 3, and I had the Kettle. I thought probably his best game I've seen him play, except what the hell is he doing in the second half in that period where they've completed 1 from 7? They're trying to do short passes. Like, don't you just hold the ball there? Complete your sets, put a kick in. Unbelievable. But he was one of the culprits there, but he still gets 2 for me, the Kettle. I thought his effort, especially in the first half, he was, as you said, Brayley was getting him in the middle, and I think Elliott played a big part in that as well, with Frizzell. And I gave KP a point as well. I thought, he had a good influence on the game in a positive way. I mean, how didn't they score off that break that Gay guy make? It just baffles me. Like, wow, how didn't they score? How didn't they score that try? God, like,
but
what
we've
the
seen
fuck?
it so many
Just
times.
sums it up, doesn't it?
So he done it in the first half. I can't remember who was back. I think it was Gamble in the backing up on the inside.
No, well, I don't know who was backing up, but it was Gay Guy that didn't pass the ball. I remember, yeah.
But what about against the Warriors earlier in the year? Bradman Best couldn't do a simple draw and pass, or whoever it was. You know, it was just the basics. You know, and I know they're under pressure, but that's what you get paid the big bucks for.
That break there was like it was a scintillating edge move, cut through you, and Ponga's coming up on your inside. Like, look, Will Kennedy, hats off. You know, very crafty player, and he played great. I thought in that last 10 minutes. I reckon.
And it also, like, to me, it took balls to have a crack attacking wise in Golden Point, because a lot of teams just will cart it upfield for the opportunity for field goals. So we took the risk. It came off, but we just couldn't ice that moment.
Ponga sparked it, and Ponga should have finished it, but
didn't happen.
Well, you know, Kennedy, he pulled off a great play, didn't he?
Yeah.
But Gay Guy, he's been a little bit off. He's also been, like, the week before, he did the best, I think, try assist of his career. So, but, you know, put it in the basket, it's just another thing that is extremely frustrating. And if we have a look at our player of the year ladder, we've got Bradman Best on 25 points. O'Brien alluded in the press conference that he might be back this week. James, did you get a chance to see if he's on an extended bench or anything? I guess we'll come up to that pretty soon.
I can have a quick look now.
Have a look while I just run through the rest of the ladder. We've got Caleb.
No, he's not there.
Yeah, so I don't know what O'Brien is smoking before these press conferences, but what's the point of even mentioning him? He's saying he's a chance. He's getting very mixed reports saying he's out for the season from some people, you know, within the circle, and then O'Brien coming up in conferences saying he's a chance, and then he doesn't even get put on an extended. You know, add it to the basket. It's getting pretty fat and juicy, that basket, overloaded. It's a basket case. Lucas is on 21. Gay Guy's on 20. KPP's on 19. Thought he also had a good game. Good to see him get a try. Daniel Safidi, 17. Jacob Safidi, 15. Marju, 15. Also had a good game, Marju. Unlucky not to get a point from me. And then Frizzell, he's on 15 points. So then there's a bunch of other guys. Rounded out by Fletcher Sharp on 1 point.
Yeah.
Radio. Let's have a look at the ladder. We're sitting in 11th. We are 4 points out of 8. The Dragons are on 28 points. Their forward against is minus 92. Ours is minus 90. So we've basically, to make the top 8, it doesn't look like the Dolphins are going to feature. They've got a couple of hard matches coming up. And the Broncos are a chance to win 3 out of 3 if they do. But I doubt it. I doubt they'll win that last match of the year against Melbourne. And we can have a look at our ladder predictor, but I think 30 points, 30 or 32 will get you into the top 8. If the Knights win our next 3, we'll end up on 30. And if we win our next 3, you'd like to think that our for and against will improve significantly. And if the Dragons only win 1 from 3, they won't get ahead of us on for and against. So I think we're still a good chance to make the top 8 after everything I've just said. You know, and teeing off on O'Brien again, which is just I just can't help myself. We're still a chance to make the top 8. So it's really going to come down to, do the Dragons. I reckon the Sharks will put it on them this week. I reckon the Sharks will put it on them by 20 or 30. And if they do, that's just my initial thought on that match, because I think we actually got that Cronulla team at a perfect time. They had players out with food poisoning. They didn't have a halves combination. And that's what makes it even more disappointing. And you can see that during the game. They just weren't up for it. Cronulla were not up for that match. And that's the reason.
Definitely off.
That's the reason why we were in it and on top of them. They were off. and we got ourselves back in that match. And anyway, I don't think the Sharks are going to be off this week against the Dragons, and I think they're going to give it to the Dragons. And then the Dragon and everything's going to change, because if we can beat Souths, right, like we should, the Tigers just beat Souths, and we put it on the Tigers. So if you look at the form lines, as long as the boys don't drop their heads and Cogger doesn't have the absolute sugar, then maybe we'll get that game against the Rabbits, and maybe we get it by a few points as well. If they turn up and win, we're only going to be 2 points out of the 8 with 2 matches to go, 2 home games to go, right? We'll have the Titans and we'll have the Dolphins. The Dragons will have the Eels. Eels away at Parramatta Stadium. I think they call it Combank now.
Yep.
And then they've got a final home match against, I think, the Raiders.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're still a big chance. And I think let's have a look at the ladder predictor, James. We both had the Dragons in at 10th. So we both had them on 20, is that 28 points? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got that match. Yeah.
Like this week is a huge game. If the Knights, I hope they don't drop their bundle after the loss last week. I hope they go in with the mindset of just, look, we lost. We blew it, but we just got to go out and really nail this game and then come home for 2 home games and get it done.
Well, if they win their next 3 matches, like they should, they should be favoured in all 3 of these matches, and they should have some pride in the jersey and in the season, and still be battling for this top 8 position. I maybe I've underestimated the Dragons, but I don't think I have. Maybe they'll be good enough to beat. They might get 1 out of 2 against the Eels and the Raiders. I'm pretty confident they're not going to win all 3. They're not going to beat the Sharks, the Raiders, and the Eels. They'll probably lose to the Sharks and get 1 of the 2 against the other 2 sides, maybe 2 out of 2. If they get 2 out of 2, we're gone. But I reckon there's a good chance that they'll lose there against the Sharks, and then they'll probably lose again against the Eels, and it will come down to that last game, which will also come down to the last game with us trying to beat the Dolphins at home. Hopefully that's the way it pans out, and hopefully we can scrape into the 8, because we, as a squad and as a club, we should be there. It's unacceptable if we don't make the top 8 this year.
Oh, 100%. Look, it's been a when you think about it, like, it's been a shocker of a year, really, hasn't it?
It has, and to consider the fact that we're still there with a chance to make the top 8, it just goes to show you that there is a lot of talent and potential with this side and with the squad. And God, it's just, I can't remember a season where we've really not achieved at least the par. Like we've just underachieved, or look, we've had some luck go against us, I think, with some refs calls in games. I can remember that Roosters game, and look, at the end of the day, the refs didn't lose it for us on the weekend. We lost that game. We had chances to win it. We lost. So, but we have had a tough rub of the green with some ref calls, and we've lost a lot of close games. But we're still in the fight. That's where it's at. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think we've generally had a pretty good take on where things are at. A lot of people are talking up the Dragons, saying they're going to make the top 8. Take it from me. Then it's not over until it's over. We're still in the fight here. If we win our next 3 games, we might be playing finals footy. It's probably 50-50 in my eyes. But it's all on the Dragons. And when you have a look at our 2024 pass or fail for the season, we're on a fail. 9 wins out of 12. But if we win our next 3, we'll be 12-12. So, if we look, James, if we get to 12 wins and 12 losses, we'll probably look at it and think, okay, well, where do we end up, 8th or 9th? it's going to come down to, the Dragons. And then ultimately, how many more wins could we have had? How many close losses do we have? I mean, you can quickly run through the season here. Like, we should have. Well, definitely the Cowboys won. We lost in Golden Point. And the Roosters match, I thought that was we were very hard done by there by the refs. And then, then we had a good run. We won a few in a row after we got smashed by the Bulldogs. And then we got smashed by the Bulldogs twice, didn't we? There you go. Yeah. I thought that we also had a pretty tough one there with the refs versus the Storm. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Down at Amy Park.
We actually had a crack in that game. We went all right.
Yeah, and I think it come down to referee. So that one in the Roosters game. So there's two that we lost really on the back of the refs. And, they lost to the Panthers. Well, that was, we were close, but not good enough. And then you roll it over the page and we see, a good win against the Eels.
Broncos is probably one we should have won as well. Remember, that was
we got
pumped, but we just didn't rock up.
Oh, it didn't rock up at all. It was terrible.
Yeah.
A real terrible performance. And I think we did get affected by Origin and losing Best and Gay Guy and Ponga was not out as. So that was not good. And then another close loss to the Panthers. And then we got up against the Tigers. And then, with it all on the line, trying to have a crack for the 8, we blew it. Just like my thing says there, under my name, blew it. That's what.
But you know what? I noticed here on your little slide there that the win percentage is pretty much on target with O'Brien's overall record.
That's under.
Oh, just under, yeah.
Yeah, 43% for the season, and his overall record's 45%. It's now Adam O'Brien's 5th season as coach of the Newcastle Knights. Mediocre coaching record. We've only won one finals match with Adam O'Brien in the 3 years that we've played finals. And we're really struggling this year to even scrape into the finals with a squad that could have been potentially challenging for a top 4 position. So if we have a look at the run home, James, we've got 3 to go out of this block of 6 games that we brought up. So we've lost 2 of them against top 4 sides. Should have beat the Sharks there, as we've said multiple times. But, well, there it is. We've got the Rabbits, we've got the Titans, and the Dolphins. So it's just as simple. We need to win. We need to win the next 3 matches. And here we are. We're now going to get into the teams list for the match versus the Rabbits on Saturday night in Sydney, 7:35 p.m. I think it's actually a Channel 9 game this time of the year. They've got the Saturday night matches on.
Yep.
James, do you want to go through the teams list?
Yep, not a problem. All right, for the Knights, we've got fullback Kalen Ponga. On the wings, we've got Fletcher Sharp and Greg Marzu, Dane Gagai and Dylan Lucas coming in because I think it was Kyle McCarthy ended up playing centre last week, didn't he?
And played pretty well after.
Yeah, he was pretty. He looked quite good actually at times.
Would you have picked McCarthy back over Lucas, or would you slot?
I actually would have.
Me too.
I mean, I like Dylan Lucas, but I just think that you're not doing him any favors putting him up against these fast outside backs. I mean, McCarthy's a young guy. He's a young back. That's his position. Just let him.
He had a crack, and he got better as the match went on. So that's another. I would have just left him in there. He's only going to get better for the run, and he backed the guy. He support him.
I think what he's done to some guys like a Dylan Lucas or a certain players, he's really made it hard for him to get any sort of continuity throughout the season. O'Brien, he's had a shocker. All right, back to the team list. In the halves, we've got 6 Jack Cogger.
I was trying to avoid
it. Yeah, the man, Jack Cogger. And then we've got Phoenix at 7. Do you want me to continue going through, or do you want to have a have a
Well,
talk about the backs there?
well, let's match it up with the bunnies.
The
So
Rabbitohs?
I'll do the rabbits. So then they've got Jai
Yep.
Gray in fullback, Fletcher Myers, ex-Knight on the wing, Tane Milne on the centres with Richard Kenner, and then you've got Jacob Gagai. I see the Gay guys going up against each other. Jack Whiten in 6 and Dean Hawkins in 7. So if you look, yeah, obviously you give Newcastle an edge of Kalen Ponga at fullback and Fletcher Sharp in pretty good form, and Gay Guy, you'd expect he'd be up for it against his brother, and Marjorie's also been in good form, and Lucas has been one of the most consistent players all year for the Knights. Even though I'd prefer to see McCarthy there because he's pretty rangy kind of goer. Like he had a real go. Yeah. I like what I saw for. He was quite, he demanded the ball a bit, and he sort of. I just really liked the effort from him, and his touches were getting better and better. His runs were strong, and his defense, he came up with some good tackles in the second half. So, yeah, I would have kept him there because Lucas has been showing up a little bit in the centres. Previous matches. So, yeah, once again, playing players out of position. Why wouldn't you just play the players in the position where they should be playing? Bring Lucas. I would have just put Lucas straight on the bench.
And for a young guy to have him up, have him next to Dane Gagai, that's great for his learning. Like have him next to you. He's I don't know.
Well, they'd be on opposite sides of the field, but so he'd be next to Marjorie, but. It's just we're going to keep battling, I guess, with this as long as O'Brien's our coach. It's I don't think we'll ever understand him, his team selections. So,
all right, I'll run through the Knights forwards.
The forwards, yep.
All right, so we've got front rowers Daniel Saifidi and Leo Thompson. I was really disappointed with Leo Thompson on the weekend.
Yeah,
but I'll get into that later.
I thought some of his defense was pretty good, but the runs. What did you say? He had 36 run meters or something?
Yep. So he played 44 minutes, had 6 runs for 34 meters.
34, yeah.
That's not good enough for a starting front row as far as I'm concerned. But
definitely not.
To me, I would have brought in Hetherington after a performance like that, but that's just me. Leo Thompson and Daniel Saifidi in the front row. Jaden Brayley at hooker. Always, to me, seems to be improving. Back row, we've got Tyson Frizzell and KPP with Adam Elliott at lock.
The Kettle. Good game last week, Kettle.
Yep.
Liked it. Okay, so we've got Davey Moali in the 8 jersey for the Rabbitohs. We've got Damien Cook in at 9, dangerous player. Sean Kepi in the front row, rounds it out with Moali. And then you've got Kelowna Matangi, who's been in good form, with Tallis Duncan in the second row, with Cameron Murray at lock, who's also in outstanding form. He put in a massive effort last week. I think he ran something like 300 meters in a losing team. So he's a clubman, Murray. And one thing is for sure, this match, the Knights are going to be up against it when it comes to effort from the Bunnies will turn up and they'll be really trying to win this match. That's for sure. Look at what else. Anything else stand out there, James? Cook obviously is pretty dangerous from hooker.
Yeah, Cook's dangerous. If he gets his forwards, giving that platform to run from dummy half, he's going to be really dangerous, and he'll test out our market defense. That's for sure. Look, I mean, they're a pretty decent forward pack when you think about it. You got Kaloa Matangi. I rate Duncan as a up and coming player. Cameron Murray, obviously, experienced and Origin and Australian player. It's going to be a bit of a tough battle in the forwards, to be honest. So the Knights have got to be, if they don't go there with effort, they could pretty much, get beaten.
Get the pants pulled down. Leo Thompson last week played 44 minutes and he had 36 hit-ups, 37 meters. Post-contact meters was 12. 0 tackle breaks, 0 line breaks, 0 line break assists, 2 offloads, 32 tackles, 5 missed, and 1 error. So I don't know. It's hard to explain. Is he injured, or he doesn't look injured?
No.
But I mean, he's not a meter eater, is he? He's never run 150 meters, I don't think, in a first grade match. I don't know. He's maybe he's been a bit overrated. Maybe he's just not as good as we think he could have been.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a great year, to be honest. For me, he's been a bit underwhelming, but that's just my opinion. Look, I hope he comes out.
For what we see, from what we see in terms of his potential, and in terms of the way that they speak about him internally, like the playing group. I mean, let's face it, most of them have been underwhelming. Well, not for Zell and KPP. I mean, Adam Elliott, he's been up and down, as his name suggests, and the Kettle. Anyway.
So I'll go through the
the Knights bench. Yep.
Go to the bench. So our 14 coming into the side is Will Price, 15 Matt Croker, 16 Jack Hetherington, and 17 the Toiler Brodie Jones.
Yeah, so it pretty unchanged 4, except for Price comes in there in the 14 jersey, and we've got Cogger in the 6 jersey. I just don't think the Crossland Cogger combination. Well, who knows? Who knows how? Look, I hope it works. I hope I'm eating my hat. I've got a lot of money riding on it. The Knights make the top 8. So, but yeah, I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it. But it is Souths, and Souths are pretty much third last on the ladder. So this is their chance to try and run into a bit of form, and I am happy to see Will Price on the side. He's played 3 matches, he's won 2, and he's lost 1. So I would have loved to see him in the 6 jersey, but who knows how long we'll have to wait, and who knows where he's going to come on. I mean, what's O'Brien's plan here with the bench? Obviously, it's obvious with the 3 other players there, Croker, Hetherington, and Brodie Jones. They all play a pretty similar role, but what does he do?
Does he bring him on, 25 minutes in the first half, try and take advantage of some of the tied forwards? I like having him at 14, or at least attempting to see how he's, it brings a bit of X factor to that bench, because we've sort of lacked that all year.
Yeah, but I mentioned that to you before. I don't see how O'Brien's going to use him. He's
going to use him.
He's been cited as not being a good defender earlier in the season. This is coming from the horse's mouth, O'Brien. So how could you stick him in the middle?
Well, maybe he's just. Well, I hope he's not just sort of foreshadowing a shitty performance from Cogger, and then you can just slot him in there. But it's almost like he sort of probably has to use him in that role, doesn't he? I don't know what he's got in mind, though. It's a.
Well, Cogger could slide in to replace Brayley at 9, and he could come in and play 6. And I'm guessing that's probably what's going to happen. That's the most likely. But then once again, you're changing the halves.
Yeah, and is Cogger going to be able to cut that defensive, cut the defensive load in the middle there as well? He's not a known defender either, is he? Yeah, it's a strange. It's going to be interesting to see which way he rolls. He's again AOB. Just he's been a complete mindfuck this year.
I just don't see the strategy. I don't.
No,
I don't.
It's not obvious, is it?
Well, I mean, Cogger's basically sat on the bench for the last 3 matches, hasn't he? And he's played a combination of about 20 minutes. So, yeah, maybe he thinks they can just they can get by without using that player, and just he's there to slot in if it's not working, or there's an injury. So
Yeah.
For the interchange, for the Rabbitohs, we've got Peter Mamazoulis in the 14, Jacob Host in the 15, Thomas Burgess in the 16, and Shaq Mitchell in the 17. I'll keep rolling on. On the extended, you've got Havali, who's a handy player, LeBlanc, Cheekam,
What's this one?
Tui Tupu Thompson. I think that's about right. Yeah. And Munro, Tyrone Munro.
Yeah.
What's
on the Knights?
And what Knights? Yeah. Who have we got on extended?
We got Thomas Cant. We got Sebastian Sewer, I think he was there last week as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We got Jackson Hastings on the reserves extended bench, and Kyle McCarthy. Strange decision not to have him at centre, but yeah, and David Armstrong as well.
We can only hope, looking at that extended reserves, that okay. I mean, looking at what we've got in front of us here, James. If it was me, I'd be picking Hastings at 7. I'd be picking Price at 6. I would be bringing in Thomas Cant in replacement of Cogger, and I'd put him on the bench because I think Thomas Cant could. He's just a goer. I wouldn't be reluctant to put him into hooker. Maybe that's pushing it, but I mean, ultimately, I'd be trying to get 90 minutes out of Brayley in the hooker. And if needed, I'd be slotting in Cant, but have him there as a fourth forward and strengthen our bench. That's what I'd be looking to do. Yeah. Well, do you drop Brodie Jones and bring in Phoenix Crossland? That's probably what I would do. So I'd bring Thomas Cant into the squad. And I drop Brodie Jones. That's kind of where I was thinking. And I'd also bring in McCarthy into the centres in replacement of Lucas. But then if you do that, you've got to find a spot for Lucas.
Yeah.
So,
true.
Look, there's a number of potential changes that could happen there. So there's a few options for anyone out there listening in, and yeah, we'll see how O'Brien plays it. Maybe that's the one thing that could go in our favour. We'll see. Here's Angelo. He's chimed in. Hey, mate, how's things? What the fuck was that in the second half? My God, could have won the game. Should have won the game, Angelo. Aside from the insane refereeing decisions, obviously, yeah. Well, I don't think the ref helped, but we didn't help ourselves either. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on Angelo's comment there, mate?
Yeah, look, I agree with I'm not gonna get into the ref stuff because, like you said, I feel that we had opportunities to ice that game and didn't take them. So ultimately, it was in our hands. But yeah, like we clocked off for periods and made error after error and basically bombed the game. So yeah,
we bombed the game. So Angelo's also saying he's really hoping for a less error-ridden game this week. Well, it was only really that period though for 10 minutes where if they just completed that, even if they got three from 7 sets instead of 1, they probably would have won this game. So let's hope, mate, Angelo, that they can just be consistent across the match and not have periods of just they didn't start well, and then they had that period there where they managed the period without Crossland on the field, and then they made all those errors, 1 from 7 completed sets. So let's just hope we can do what we should do this week and put the cleaners through the South Sydney Rabbitohs on Saturday night Any final thoughts on the teams list there, James?
No, I mean, look, I think we're pretty much gone through that, and we'll just have to see what happens leading up to the game, if there's going to be any sort of changes. I honestly think, we're the stronger team. We should beat the Rabbitohs.
Kalen Ponga should run the field day with this.
Yeah, you think so?
It's got to be on, man. It really has got to be on. And if we're serious, we really need to go in and put 20 or 30 on the Rabbits. They've got to go out with an attacking mindset in this game, and forget about this slogfest footy. Come out and just do get the ABCs right. Hold the ball, run hard, kick chase, tackle hard, win the ruck, and wait for your opportunities and execute. That's football. It's the same for every team in the NRL. It's not a rocket science formula. So
to be fair, to be honest, the last 2 weeks I feel like we've been a bit more expansive with the ball, which has been good to see. There's been a few more offloads compared to leading up to the Tigers game, where we've been boring and the slogfest style. So in attack, I do feel we're heading in the right direction, but it's taken way too long.
Yeah. Angelo, well, I think you said you're a bit late to the show, so you probably missed my semi-explosion. I've kind of lost the plot a bit after seeing Cogger being named in the 6th jersey this week, and it was a pretty tough loss on Sunday. Still, it's just one of those games, isn't it? Just kind of sums up the season. So yeah, mate, I don't think there's many Knights supporters out there not annoyed at the moment, or anyone, the passionate ones like us. So let's just hope we can get on with it and win this game against Souths this week, and then we hope that the Dragons lose against the Sharks, and then we're potentially talking about still making the finals. Look, we're going to get into the betting now. I put a tip at the end of the pod last week. It was kind of I wasn't planning on doing it, but I did mention on the show that the tip for the week was +8.5 for the Knights at the $1.90. So that bet landed, and I didn't have a live bet during this match. I've also put $100 stake on the Knights to make the top 8. So at the moment it stands at 10% profit for the year, which is good. We've still got that top 8 bet, which at the moment is probably around about a 25% chance to land, in my opinion. So it's not looking too good, but we can still make it. If we get that top 8 bet, the season will be great. And I'll be very happy, and I'll be eating my hat after my little blow up tonight. And I hope that's the case. I want to be eating my hat. So, yeah, look, overall, James, you sat on the sideline there last week. What are your thoughts at the moment? Should we roll into checking the odds for the match? I've got the Knights to win at $1.50, Souths to win at $2.60. Knights at the line, -6.5 is $1.95. Knights 1 to 12, $2.64, and Knights 13 plus at $3.25. You can make a call here during the show, or you can do one pre-match and we'll announce on X. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards picking the Knights this week, but I will confirm that prior to the match. I was probably just going to take them 1 to 12.
1 to 12.
That could change. That could change, but we'll confirm that leading up to it. Look, I do think the Knights are going to win this one. I think my big fear is that, after such a heartbreaking loss, that they haven't dropped their bundle. I think if O'Brien's got them out of that mindset of, losing that game and what needs to be done, I do think we've got the better team and we should win this game.
Oh my God, we should win this game, and we should win this game 13 plus. But we were in a situation before the Tigers match where we were thinking, are the Knights going to turn up here? Are they going to play for the coach? Are the Tigers going to turn up and pull our pants down? And we saw that the Tigers came out and they beat Souths last week. So we weren't too far off, I don't think. But the Knights played well and they deserved their win. But maybe after such a heartbreaking loss, even Ponga said it in the press conference. He said that basically, we need a bit of time to get over this one. So it's pretty concerning. I don't know. It's just been one of those. It's one of those seasons where you just. I wouldn't surprise me if we came out and lost this match to Souths.
Yeah, look, it could.
I think it's a massive risk.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing about this season. It's just they've been so unpredictable. The fact that is the predictable part about the Knights this year, that have how unpredictable they've been. It's just been ridiculous to get a gauge on what they're going to dish up. So
they've hung in there. They're still in the race for the finals, and they should beat the Rabbits. They're favourites to beat the Rabbits, and if they lose this match, look, I hope I flew off the handle tonight emotionally, and I hope I do have to eat my hat. I hope maybe O'Brien is he might be making some late team changes, or if he doesn't, I just hope the players that he's picked aim up and they get the job done this week. I really want that to happen this week. God, I just if we get beat by the Bunnies this week, I'll just be devastated after everything that's happened this year. It'll be shocking.
Yeah, it would take the season to an even worse low than what it already is, really.
Yeah, to be beaten by the team coming third last on the ladder.
Yeah.
Without no Latrell Mitchell, no Cody Walker. Who's their main halfback? He's out as well. He's been out for a long time.
He broke his leg. I can't remember his name. Yeah,
Lachlan Ilias.
Yep.
He's not playing. So basically, they've got all of his spine except for Cook is out, and they've got other injuries like Dry Arrow and stuff as well. He's not even playing. So they're pretty decimated, really, with injuries. And look, they just got beat by the Tigers. So, God.
And what you see in these games, though, is a lot of these lower ranked teams, if they see they like to knock off these teams who are vying for a top 8 position.
Especially
so they'll be up for it. They'll be up for an upset. That's for sure. So,
which is what I do predict is going to happen to the Dragons. I think the Eels and the Raiders matches. I think they're going to be in for some big challenges there. So, Angelo's got another comment here. So there's a question. So has the attack been less effective in terms of high scoring because of the constant partnerships in the halves, James? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of that and just AOB's really unwillingness to bend from his structure and the way he wants them to play. It's been like, we're going to play a certain style and that's what we're going to do. And it hasn't been attacking style at all. I mean, he flat out said in, some comments that he said that we're not an attacking, flamboyant, good looking team. He wants us to play ugly.
We're an ugly team.
Yeah. To me, it's all on AOB. And I think the guys have done well to continue playing that style and not sort of throwing the towel out of sheer boredom and frustration. So, look, as frustrating as this season has been, I can't give the players too much of a dressing down because I think they've been hard done by AOB.
100%.
He's got to bear a lot of the majority of the criticism that he will cop at the end of the year.
I reckon the players overall have been pretty good. I just don't think the team tactics and the team selections have been correct. At all. And that's why I'm so pissed off. So that's what we think, Angelo. Thanks for chiming in, mate. We appreciate your support with the pod. It's been good to have you chime in as we've gone through it. So look, James, we're on we've just gone over the hour mark and we still got through plenty of content there. Was obviously we're a bit frustrated after that close loss to the Sharks, but not just that. Looking at the team this week, a number of questionable team selections again, and when you've had, what is it now, James? 20. This is the 25th round. When you're in round 25 and you're still banging your head against the wall, you're going to crack at one stage, aren't you? So I've had enough, but I'm 100% behind the boys, in spirit, and I've got my money on the line as well. I've had a crack at the Knights to make the top 8. Pretty devastating for me personally to lose that match, because probably a match we should have won. And if we did win that, we would have been looking pretty, in a pretty good position to make the top 8. We would have been in the conversation a lot more than what we have been.
Yeah, I agree. That's a game we should have won. There's no other way to put it. We bombed that game, and but you know what? It's done and dusted. We've got to beat the Rabbitohs this week and get the 2 points, and then move on to the 2 home games.
That's what the plan is, James. We've got 3 games to go, and we must win 3, and it all starts this week against the Rabbitohs. Angelo, is there going to be any off-season content? Look, we're going to get through this season. I'm going to be like O'Brien in a press conference here and say we're going to take it 1 week at a time. And I guess that's where
we're training well.
At it. But yeah,
we're training. We're training well, mate.
Training real well. And we'll plan to train in the off season. Look, mate. I've got a few ideas. What I want to potentially do is keep the fans up to date with news in regards to the squad, and you generally don't get a lot of news from the Knights in the off season in terms of how they're performing and stuff, in terms of their training and stuff. So I think the main content that we'll put up is we might put some news updates up on the YouTube channel, or it's definitely on our social accounts anyhow. So basically the main idea I've got is I want to be able to share. I want to share good news, good reliable source news for Knights fans, so we can basically keep engaged with the squad over the off season. And it's going to be an interesting one. There's going to be, I think there might be some reshuffling around with the roster, with O'Sullivan here now. Tongue twister for me, getting tired. So maybe the squad's going to change a fair bit. So we definitely want to keep people up to date, for our fans and supporters, with that info. And in terms of the format for next year, we James and I, we need to still decide that. But we'll get through this year, and we'll do a review of the season, and we'll make some plans for 2025.
Sounds good.
Any final thoughts for the show tonight, James?
No, I think we've gone through everything, and it's always hard to do the podcast when you've stop at a loss or a loss like that.
It's pretty hard to do a podcast when you see Jack Cogger named at 6.
yeah. But look, I hope to see the boys put in a good performance this week and get the points, and then really, push for those 2 last home games and get the victory. But again, we're going to find out a lot about their mindset this week. So, yeah, interesting weekend coming up.
Yeah, I reckon get the sports psychologist out this week, because there's a chance that they might throw the towel in. I don't know. I really hope that's not the case, because they shouldn't be. And, if they lose this match this week, I don't know.
Done.
Maybe we'll throw the towel in. Go to Bali.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, look, I really hope they don't do that they don't throw the towel in and sort of it could be easy for them to do that. That'd be the easy choice, but I really hope for the fans' sake and what the fans have been through this year. It's been one of the hardest seasons I've ever had to go through as a Knights fan, because of expectation from last year, and just the optimism we had at the start of the year, and just hasn't panned out that way.
Well, it's not over until the fat lady sings. So we do have a slight glimmer of hope, and we won't give up. It's not Newcastle spirit to give up. We're fighters, and we're definitely going to keep battling until it is over, one way or the other. So if you think about it, how would you? The last thing we'll cover here before we switch off is, James. Let's pretend we're in the side and we're players, and we turn up for the review on a Monday, which would have been yesterday. How are you feeling as a player going down in that close match? And what are you going to take good things out of that match? The fact that you only went down by a point to the Sharks, who are a top 4 side, or are you going to be kicking stones? Well, what do you think the boys? How do you think they would have reacted to that?
Look, I mean, you'd hope that they take the positives out of it and then really face the negative stuff head on and look at it and learn from it. I'd hope that their disappointment was confined to that, in the sheds after the game and that night. And when you rock up to that review, you're there to make a positive change and to go through that process to make it better for the next week. That's the tough thing, though. It's mentally they've just got to be up for that and willing to look at the areas where they fell down, and there were some pretty bad areas where they fell down.
Look, they got a good chance this week against the Rabbits to turn that around and to build some confidence going into the last couple of matches. So I think, like Pogner said in the press conference, they got to get over that loss. But the thing that's in their control is that they've got 3 matches left. And if they win the 3 matches, they still give themselves a chance to make the final. So if that's their mindset, they kind of got half a foot out the door because it's out of their control now. But, like I said, if they turn up and beat the Rabbits on Saturday night, and then on Sunday the Sharks give it to the Dragons, I think the belief will start to turn up a notch, and then we'll be looking at that Titans match. The last thing I'll do here is I'll have a quick look on NRL, because if it does, yeah.
You would expect the Sharkies to pump the Dragons. And look, the Dragons are in 8th spot, but for me, they've been really unpredictable themselves. Yeah. They've been up and down. So
yeah, I think the Sharks will win this week, and we should win. So then what that means for us is the week after, we're going to be running into a match versus the Titans on a Sunday. And the Dragons are playing on Saturday at 3 p.m. versus the Eels at CommBank. So let's say, hey, it gets even better, James. If the Sharks do the Dragons and then the Eels do the Dragons, right, they will go into that Sunday game knowing if they win, they're in the top 8.
Yeah. So it's all in. Because no, I didn't know that, but it's all in their hands. They just got to win.
Well, well, there you go. We've just mapped it out. The Knights will be they'll move into 8th position, because if the Dragons don't pick up any wins between those next 2 games, and we pick up 2 wins, our for and against will be better. So there it is. It's on the table. We can potentially be in 8th spot moving into the last match of the year versus the Dolphins.
And would that depend on what Brisbane are doing as well? Would Brisbane be in the running for that 8th spot as well?
Yep. So let's go back then. See, we're starting to pick up the spirits. We're fighters. We don't give in. See, mate, we're very competitive, and this is what I'm saying. If you're in the shed, you're a Knights player. If I'm Adam O'Brien, I am looking at the fucking ladder now, because this is what's motivated. It's motivated me now just looking at it. If I'm a competitive football player, I'm looking at this ladder and I'm thinking, okay, we win this week. We go to, what are we on? 24?
24.
Yep. So we go to 26. and then Dragons lose, they stay on 28, so we're 2 off them. Yeah?
Yep.
And then Dragons lose to the Eels in a game that we get to watch. And then we get to go and play the Titans at home on a Sunday afternoon. And then that way, that's going to put us straight into 8th spot. Now, the other question that you just asked me is that depends on the Broncos and it depends on the Dolphins as well, because the Dolphins and the Broncos are better for and against than us. So you got to look at who they're playing in the next 2 matches as well, because the Dolphins could easily win one of their next 2. And so could the Broncos. So if we have a quick look, let's have a quick look. We'll finish on a positive note. So Broncos this week have the Eels. So you expect them to beat the Eels at home.
Yeah.
But that's no certainty. I think Reece Walsh is out as well. Just having a quick flick through their team list. They've got Josh Rogers in the 6 jersey with Reynolds. No Reece Walsh. And no Payne Haas.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys out.
So they're no certainties to do the Eels. I think the Eels. I really think the Eels are going to potentially go up there and trouble them, and then really trouble the Dragons. I have a good feeling about it. But anyway, let's say the Broncos do win one of their next. That would get them to 26. Let's see who the Broncos have got the week after that. They've got the Dolphins. Well, that's perfect. They play each other. So, Brisbane. Brisbane could win 2. And they'd be on 28, which would keep – they would actually be 8th position. We'd be 9th. If the Dolphins win that match, they'll be on 28. Now, we've got to look at who they would have played the week before. So we're doing a live ladder. Well, the Dolphins have got the Melbourne Storm this week, so they're not winning that.
No, they're not.
In Melbourne. So it's quite possible, right? This is quite possible that one of those 2 sides, Dolphins and Broncos, will be also on 28. Yeah, let's say that. If that's the case, then we would be in. They'd be in 8th, we'd be in 9th. But moving into the final match of that round, then you've got the Dragons are pretty much out of the race because of for and against instantly. So this is why I think everyone's talking up the Dragons. It's not so clear cut. And then you've got we play the Dolphins, so that it could come down to that last match versus the Dolphins. And the Broncos play the Storm in the last round. And I listened to the Billy Slater podcast last night. Billy Slater was basically saying he doesn't think that Bellamy would rest his players in the last round because they want momentum going into the semis. So we can pretty confidently say there that Melbourne should do the Broncos there. That would keep them on 28, even if they got the 28. And then we've got the match there against the Dolphins. So look, we're still in it. We should. If I'm Adam O'Brien right now, I'm using the ladder to motivate the side, because if you look at the other results, they can go our way. It's not clear cut, and if we win 3 matches, there's a real high chance that the Dragons don't win any more than 1 match. If they win 2, the Dragons are in. If they win 1 more match, they'll be on 30, but our for and against will be better. And I think there's a good chance they get done by the Sharks, and then they also get done by the Eels.
And we just have to win
this
week. Yep, that's what we're going to do.
So anyway, we're still in the fight for the
Good
top
stuff.
8. And I'm feeling a bit more positive now after going through that. And this is the whole reason I put the bet is for the top 8. I looked at this. I looked at the ladder predictor, and even I factored in a loss against the Sharks, and I still thought we were a chance to make the top 8. I had us coming in at 8th. But it's I can't say it again, can I? When you see Cochrane in a 6 jersey,
yeah,
it doesn't exactly make you feel confident. But look, let's see. It's all going to happen. It's all going to unfold in the next few weeks, and don't give up hope. That's the message. We might have blew it against the Sharks, and Cogger might be in 6 jersey, but if we win 3, there's a good chance we'll still make the finals, because I reckon Dragons is full gold at the moment. And if the Knights make the final 8, I'll eat this hat live on the podcast in the first week of the finals.
I want to see that.
I might have to say sorry. I might have to make an apology to Adam O'Brien as well for flipping out tonight.
Get a shirt printed up. I love you, AOB.
Sorry. It was just say sorry.
Yeah, just sorry.
I have a picture of his head on the back. That's it.
Yeah, that'll be all right. Get it ready.
Get it ready. Okay, mate. Thank you. It's good to end on a positive note and in a positive frame of mind. It's been a pretty challenging mental drain this year. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. There's death ride. We're death riding the Dragons, death riding the Dolphins, death riding the Broncos. Let's go, Newcastle.
Bring it on.
I'll see you next week, James. We'll chime in on X on Saturday evening if you're around.
Yeah, will do. I'll talk to you then. Catch you later.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
See you, mate.
Bye.
Bye.